complex. So today I'm going to we are going to write complex SQL. So first SQL we want to write today is we are going to look at together we are going to look at in one SQL we are going to look at let me check the tables that we have here. So in one SQL I want us to look at the department number. So we're going to look at department number. So we look at department number, the sum of their salary. Sorry, I'm not yet sharing. So let me share now. All right. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now? All right, thank you. So we look at sum, we look okay. Can you hear me now? I don't know who muted. Yeah, it alerted me that I was muted. I don't know. I don't know who muted it. All right. All right, let's continue. So we are going to be making use of two tables. So we are going to be making use of the salary table and the DEMT EMP tables. So those are the two tables we are going to be making use of. So now let's start with how we are going to write it. Now this is like a complex query because we are combining this whole aggregate function in one SQL. We are combining the whole aggregate function in one SQL. So how do we go about it? So I will say select. Let me also add to know the head counts. Head counts per each department. Let me add that to it. So now select department number. So select department number as department number. I believe I taught you earlier last week as well. So now to do head counts, how do we do head counts? So head count will be counts star. Count star. That will calculate head count for us. So as head counts, then we put a comma. Then again, sum with the sum of salary. Sum of salary, let me check the name of the column. Yeah, is salary, yes. Sum of salary as the total salary. Then average salary will be AVG salary as average salary. So here I'm combining everything together here. That's what we are doing. Then minimum salary as minimum salary. Also maximum salary as max salary though. So this will be as maximum salary. So now from temps emp, which is our first table, from temps emp. So let's call this DE. So now you remember that this is our first table, which is temps emp, was where we got our department number. So that means we need to put DE here. DE dot department number. So we are now going to say that inner join. So we want to inner join it with the employees. Sorry, I didn't add the schema. So employees dot salaries. So let's call this S. So now we need to come and put S dot where again, yeah, I think that's fine. So now so what is common between both? We have the employee number that is common between both. This is employee number and that is also employee number. So on DE dot employee number equals to S dot employee number. So where are we making use of any filtering? No, there is no filtering here. Now, because we have made use of aggregate function, then we have to use a group by clause. That was what I taught you last week. Anytime you make use of an aggregate function, you have to make use of a group by clause. So that will be group by. So we are grouping by only the column. We are grouping by the column. So group by department number. Group by department number. Then we could order it by, we could use order by to order it. But let's run this first of all. Then we can now say whether we want to order by or not. Now, as you can see, these are each department. I think this company is having about 9 departments, and these are their head counts. These are their total salary. These are their average salary. These are their minimum salary, and these are their maximum salary. So now I've gone for an interview before that this was how they asked the question. So they said that this was how they asked the question, and they said you should sort it by, so let's assume that they said sort it by total salary And if there is a tie, then sort by average salary. What does it mean? So what it means is that when you hear such a question, this is what I mean. Let me type it down. They said, I went for an interview that they gave me to run that kind of a cycle previously before. So they said sort by, of course, this wasn't the table, but I'm just using this scenario now. So they said sort by total salary, and if there is a tie, what I mean by tie is if D1 and D0 are the same thing, then the next thing you should sort by should be average salary. So how do you go about that? So this is how you go about that. So you use order by. First thing you will sort with is total salary. That's the first thing you are going to sort with. Total salary. Then followed by average salary. Then you now put it in, that is in descending order. So you can see that all of this now, it was in order of department number. So let's run this now. You will see that it's going to be in the highest will come up here. The highest is going to come up here. So you can see that it has changed. And this is the highest, as you can see, because we have ordered by the total salary. So let's say that we want to order a loan by the maximum salary. Now, if you look at here, you will see that it was ordered by the maximum salary, and we know that it is D007 that earns the highest salary in this organization. So what if we want to add department name to it? How do we do that? We want to know the department name. So we have to look for a table that contains department name, and that is what? Departments. And if you look at here, it has one column in common with the DEMT EMP, which is what? Department number. So let's include department name here. So that will be DEMT name as department's name, comma. So here now we have to come and join the table with it. So we have to say that from, then, so it has to come in this way, that from employees dot departments, so let's call this department D, on, so we are joining it with D DEMT number equals to DE DEMT number. So then we will also, so inner join with, inner join from, then inner join, we are inner joining it with the, so inner join on, yes. So inner join, yes, inner join with this on DE, yes. Then here we are going to say inner join So we are now going to inner join it with the employee salary. So this was what I did. I first of all pick it from the department, then inner join it with the DEMT emp because it has the DEMT emp number. That's what they have in common. So then I now pick the DEMT emp and now join it again with the employee salary. Now with this, it's going to produce the department name for us. But it's not complete. It's going to give an error. And the reason why it's going to give an error is because I need to group by the department name as well. So as many columns that you have that are not part of the aggregate function have to be in the group by clause. It has to be in the group by clause. So if it is not in the group by clause, it's not going to work. Then you remember that we have named our departments as D. So that means that I need to put D here, D dots. Then also I need to put D here as well, D dots. So now this is going to show us the department name. So you can see that it has shown us the department name. So obviously it's the sales team that earned the highest salary, which is like the maximum salary. It's the same sales team that earns the highest. If I should scroll down, so it looks like it's the quality management team. The quality management team that has the lowest salary. Yes, it's the quality management team that has the lowest salary. There's still time, and maybe we should write, let's write one more. Should we write one more date? One more. Let me see if there are questions in the chat box. Okay, there are no questions. If you have any question, please put it on your chat box. Put it in the chat box because that will invariably determine the number of times that I want to teach with. So please, if you have any question, let's try to put it on the chat box. Okay, so now let's work with. Now we have not done anything with this title table. And when you look at the title table, so let me say select star from employees dot title. Select star from employees dot title. So now, what if we want to know the salaries of the titles? We want to know their salary. You can see here we have senior staff, we have engineer, and we have their number. When you look at here, the employee number is what joins the salary table together. So let's try to connect it together. So let's say we need their employee number as employee number. Then we need their title as employees title. Then again, let's go to employees or before we join in with the employee table, which has their names. So let's say we want to know their salary as employees salary. All right, let's first of all join these two tables together. Then if we now want to know the names of those employees, then we can now bring it together. So from employee titles, so let me call this T, then I can put it here as T dots, then T dots, and also S dots. So I'm from employee dot titles inner join. So inner join salaries employees dot salaries S on. So that will be T dot employee number equal to S dot employee number. So now this one, what I just did here is going to give us the salary of each employee, their title, and their employee number as well. So let me run this now. So you can see here, we have the employee number, their title, and their salary. So what if I want to include their names? I want their names to be included, their first name and their last name to be included, and also possibly their gender. Then what it means is I have to include the employee table. So that will be first name, last name, and the gender. So then I will now have to join it with this. So that will be inner join with employees dot employees E on E dot employee number equals to S dot employee number. So here I have to change this to E dot. I have to put those alias there because if I don't put it there, then it's not going to work. So let me run this now. So now, as you can see, the names are showing. The first name, last name, the gender, and everything, they are all showing. You can see it there. So what if I only want, and I don't want to make use of maximum. So I only want the maximum salary. I mean the highest salary of in this for this organization. I only want it to appear. I only want it to appear. How do I go about that? So that would be order by, then I'm going to order by salaries. So I'm going to order by the employee salaries. It will now be in descending order. So let's order by salary and in descending order now. So you can see this is the highest person that is earning the highest money in this organization, and is earning 158,220 pounds. Of course, it's a fake data, but you can see that this guy, it's increased. That it was because his salary was increasing, so he asked for data. You know, when you are working in an organization, you might first of all start with maybe and you started with 30,000, and so as you are moving along in the organization, they increase your money by another 1,000, increase it by 2,000. So that's the way this database was made. So now, if I want only the highest earner of this organization to appear, and I don't want to make use of maximum, how do I go about that? So I'm going to make use of what we know as limits. So I will say limit 1. So limit 1 will only give me the maximum, the maximum person, the highest earner of this organization. So limit 1. Let me run it now. So you can see it's only showing me the highest person that is earning in this organization. So if I change it to limit 5, it's going to show me the 5 top earners of this organization. Now, let me now say select distinct. It's showing me the 5 top earners. So, of course, it's showing me this guy's name repeatedly because his salary was increased like that. His salary was being increased. So that's why it's showing me that. So if I need the 10 top earners in this organization, all I need to do is to change it to 10. And it's going to show me the 10 top earners of this organization. So these are the top 10 earners in this organization. Let me see if we have any question. Any question? Hello, can you hear me? Any question? I'm just in wait. Where do I start from? No. Yeah, I will do another example. No problem. Now, the thing is, see, the basics. If you watch this video, the truth of the matter is that, let me tell you and let me encourage you. And let me use this to encourage you. You have to start from a place. That's the truth. You have to start from somewhere. And where do you start from? Learning the basics. So these are all the basics. If you can, let me tell you this about SQL. Now, this is the basics of SQL. So you have a select command. You have to always start when you are extracting with a select command. Then you select what is next is your columns. Now, if you are filtering, what is going to be the next one will be the where clause. If you are filtering. If you are filtering. If you are filtering. So now, what next after the where clause? So is the group by clause. So the group by clause, you can only make use of the group by clause when you have an aggregate function. And what are the aggregate functions? They are the ones that I've mentioned: counts, sum, average, minimum, maximum. All these ones are the aggregate function. So have it at the back of your brain always that anytime you are making use of an aggregate function, anytime that you are making use of an aggregate function, you have to use the group by clause. Now, after you have a group by clause, what follows? If you want to filter the having clause, so if you want to filter by an aggregate function. Now, I've gone for an interview before and they asked me that what's the difference between the where clause and the having clause. So the where clause can be used normally to filter anything, but the having clause can only be used for aggregate function, and you can't use the where clause for aggregate function too. So that's the difference. When you are filtering alone, you make use of the where clause. When you are filtering by aggregate function, you make use of the having clause. So this is where you start from, by knowing the order. So if you go and put having before the group by, it's going to give you an error. If you go and put the group by before the where clause, it's going to give you an error. So then the last thing will be the order by clause. That's going to be the last thing. It's going to be the order by clause. So let's do one more example where we can filter. So let's say that we want to look for let me look for another table that maybe we've not used previously before. Okay, let's make use of this employee table. Yeah, let me try to introduce aggregate function into this. Then we now add, then we are now going to, when I will introduce aggregate functions to this. So then we will now filter as well. We'll make use of some filtering. So let me introduce maybe the average salary. Average salaries. So this one will be S dots as average salary. So let's assume that the average salary that we just want to want to see is there's something that I missed here. So columns, then you have your joinings, the joinings of table. So that is how it goes. So now, where we just want to see the senior staff's average salary. So where employee type 2, see where I'm filtering now. The where clause have to come before the order by clause. That's the order. That's the first thing you are going to, somebody that was asking, well, where do I start from? You have to know this. Select, column, join tables together, the where clause, the group by, the having clause, and the order by clause. So here now, is going to be where employee title equal to senior staff. Senior staff. Now, this is not going to run. Why is it not going to run? The reason why it's not going to run, can somebody tell me on the chat box why it's not going to run? Any recommended book for theory aspects? And what is not in order? There's a function that is missing, and that's why it's not going to run. Yeah, no, it's not the having. It's not the having. Look at it very well. I have introduced an aggregate function here, and it's still missing a function, and that's why it's not going to run. So who can tell me why it's not going to run? Yes, the group by function. So I have to group by all the columns. So group by, I have to group by all the columns that I have here. So if I don't group by all those columns, it's not going to work. So group by the employee number. That's what I'm saying. Anytime you make use of what's it called? Anytime you make use of an aggregate function, you have to make use of a group by clause, and you have to group by all the columns. You have to group by all of the columns. So it's very important that you take note of that. I think this example will open your eyes to it now. And it's when you practice makes perfection. It is when you practice, that's when it will be perfect. So if you don't group by all the columns, you are going to have an error. It's going to give you error. So I think I'm still having the gender. Yes. So now I can run this now, and everything that is going to deliver here will just be for senior staff, because I've actually filtered it by the senior staff. It's giving an error. Okay, sorry, there's no comma here. I didn't put a comma there. I think that's why it's giving an error. Let me run it again. Employee title. Where, oh, so in the where clause, you can't call the alias. That's a mistake, sorry. You have to make use of the exact table. You will notice that in the group by clause, I did make use of the alias too. So you have to make sure when you are aliasing, you will make use of the exact column and not the alias. So if you look at the group by, I didn't make use of employee number. But in the order by clause, I make use of employee salary. So it's allowed in the order by clause, but it's not allowed in the group by clause, and it's not allowed in the where clause. So it should run now. But because it's grouping by a lot of things, it has even run. So you can see that it has run now. And we have our average salary. And when you look at it, because I filtered by senior staff, you can see that everything that is appearing here is just for the senior staffs alone. The data that is appearing there is just for the senior staffs alone. So somebody is asking for a recommended theory book. I will give you, but the challenge I have with people is that they don't read. But I will send it to the group before the next class, like the theory aspects. And if you look at the first class, that was why I started with more of theory in the first class, because if you don't understand what a database is, it will be very, very difficult for you to actually understand what we are doing. It will be a lot difficult for you. It will be very, very difficult for you to understand it. So it's very important that you understand what a database is, the primary key, schemas. I think you should also go and watch that first video very well. What is a schema? I define it. What is a table? Is a table, the combination of tables is what make a schema. And when you look at anytime I'm referring to a table, if you look at it here, anytime I'm referring to this employee table, I always put a schema there. Employees. Why do you think I see these employees? If you come here, you see what? These employees there. So these employees is the what? The schema. The employees here is the schema. So that is why I always first of all call the schema before I call the table. I believe that you understand it now. What is partition by and how is it linked to a table? Very good question, but that's advanced. It's advanced. Now, if you are making use of partition by, then you are making use of row number, you are making use of row number, then you are making use of cities, common table expressions, and the like. But that is advanced, and I can't explain it theoretically to you. So it's an advanced class. I can't explain it theoretically, but what partitioning does is that when you give a row number to each of the table, so you can partition it by each, just from the word partition, you can partition it from each department. And the only the places where partitioning is used, you can actually use partitioning to replace a group by function. There's some instances where you can use partitioning to replace a group by function. So it depends on what you want to use. And the truth of the matter is that a group by function can actually make when you are retrieving the query to be slow, whereas for partitioning it moves fast. So where a group by function is possibly taking like 10 minutes to run, partitioning can do everything within 5 minutes, because it doesn't need to group by. It doesn't need to group by every of those things. But when you are grouping by, it's first of all going to group by all of those columns. But partitioning will just partition, and what partition means, it's just divided, but it's advanced. You can't understand it by theory, and there's no way I can do it now that you can even understand it. So it's more of advanced, but with partitioning you make use of row numbers and the likes, and also cities and the likes. That's common table expressions. So like I said, I will send the material where you can actually read the theory, and hopefully that will help you as well. So like somebody asked, that's a very good question, that where do I start from? Just start from anywhere. Start from you practicing what you have learned in class, you running it, trying different things. Some of the go through Google, try different things yourself. When you try different things yourself, it will become part and parcel of you. When you try different things yourself. Do we have any other question? All right. So in absence of no question, next week, let's come with different questions next week. Of course, I'm going to do more examples for us next week. Let's come with different questions next week. Next week, I will entertain more of questions because it will be more of revision class. So let's come with different questions next week. And ensure that when you are watching this video, you comment on it so that YouTube can recommend this video for others as well. So thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye for now.